On this episode, we're going to talk about Facebook stories and whether or not it is going to be a Snapchat killer. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Real Talk. I am your host, Carlos Gil, and joining me here at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco today is Jenna Dominique. Jenna, welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you for having me back on. It really feels good every time I get in the studio with you. I know we're going to record great content, so thank you.
I love recording content with you, Jenna. You know that. We got this fire, we got this energy, this vibe going, and you know what?
Right
the
here.
Viewers out there like when we're on the set together. And today we're going to talk about Facebook Stories. Facebook Stories is an all-new feature that Facebook just announced within the last couple of days. And we're going to talk about this because you and I have different perspectives as millennials. Yourself being a younger millennial, myself being an older millennial. For those of you watching, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube, right now you're looking at an overview of what Facebook Stories essentially is. And if you're on Instagram, you're already familiar with this feature because Facebook, who owns Instagram, rolled out Instagram Stories within the last several months. So I'm going to stop right there. Instagram Stories, I know you're big on the IG game.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it?
My thoughts on Instagram Stories. So I was initially on Snapchat, and it took me a while to get on Snapchat.
Okay.
And I don't really like to record my day-to-day life. I'm a little bit more private, and I want to show what I want to show, which is a small selection of my life, right? So when I started using Instagram Stories, I thought it was kind of basic at first, right? Because on Snapchat, you have the filters, and you can add an emoji, a bit emoji, so many things, right? And on Instagram, I was like, okay, change the color of your font. But I think it's a great way to reach your audience. It's a different network as well. The people who are on Snapchat and follow you there are not the same people who are on Instagram. So I say yes for Instagram Stories. Let's run it.
So Instagram Stories is something that you're buying on, you're jamming out with it. By the way, the center creates great stories on Instagram, I want to say. So let's go ahead and turn the page over to Facebook. And Facebook just announced that they're rolling out Stories, which looks like a mirror image. Essentially, it's a clone of Instagram Stories, but they're putting it into Facebook. You look at Snapchat, and Snapchat has Snapchat Stories, and we're starting to see this trend that Facebook is trying to be a Snapchat clone. Now, the big question, Jenna, is will Facebook prevail in being a Snapchat killer?
This is my question. How many places can you tell your story? Like, if I have to record this footage on my Instagram and my Snapchat and my Facebook, it's so redundant, right? You're trying to get like a 15-second clip. And it's also kind of weird when you try and save it to your camera roll and then republish it on one of these platforms. So I personally will not be capitalizing on Facebook's story. And that's just because, again, Facebook, in my opinion, is dying. I think Snapchat really is killing Facebook more than Facebook is killing Snapchat, if I keep it real on Real Talk.
Yes, that is a bold prediction. So Snapchat is actually, from your perspective, long-term going to be killing off Facebook. Here's my perspective on this whole matter, is stick to what you're good at.
Sure.
So Facebook, as we know, the demographic that's on there, it's grown up.
Yeah.
My mom and dad are on Facebook. A lot of older demographics are on Facebook. And here's how I like to pick Facebook apart. It's a great advertising platform.
Yeah.
At the core, if you are a brand, we have a lot of marketers that watch Real Talk and a lot of businesses. If you're a company, Facebook is a great advertising platform nowadays. But let's face it, the most engaged demographic on social media is millennials.
Yeah. Personally, I think Facebook, even if you have a personal brand, I think one thing that we've touched on before is the weight and the importance of having a personal brand and branding yourself, your skills, whatever, or even if just having a great photo of you, right? So for me, Facebook at this point is like a place for me to change my profile picture or a place for me to add a couple of photos from my travels and be like, look, I just went on this awesome trip. It's not a place where I'm sharing my life or my story or my day-to-day. And so with them rolling out Facebook Story, I just don't feel compelled to share a story there because it's a place where I post about my personal brand and I brand what I do, my talents, my skills. It is a place where my parents are. It's a place where my teachers are. I'm not going to necessarily just show myself chilling with my friends on Facebook.
You see, I look at Facebook as almost like a journal meets a scrapbook, where, to your point, it's where I'm going to upload content. It's where I'm going to upload what I'm thinking in the moment. But to your point, I don't view Facebook as a storytelling app or social network. That's what Snapchat is.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm Zuckerberg and team at Facebook, what my strategy would be is, how do I continue to grow Instagram to pull more market share away from Snapchat through Instagram? But the reality is this, and we've had this conversation, is that Snapchat has its own audience that lives on Snapchat. And you can try to be as much like Snapchat as possible. They say that, what is it? Flattery is the best form, or imitation is the best form of flattery, right? So I think that Facebook, what they're doing is, if anything, to your point, they are elevating Snapchat on another level, because they're saying, look, we get that these are features that work and this is what people want. But once again, it's the demographic that dictates everything. And I firmly believe that no matter how hard Facebook tries to be like Snapchat, you're not going to now have this mass exodus of users 18 to 25 years old jumping off of Snapchat and running back over to Facebook to hang out with mom and dad.
You're not going to have that mass exodus. And I think, again, touching on your point, stay in your lane and do what you're good at, right? Like, Snapchat is good for storytelling. That's what people use it for. Facebook is good for posting pictures for your that are family friendly and friendly to your professors and coworkers, right? That's a place. I've had some of my coworkers add me, and at first I was weird about it, but I was like, you know what? I'm not really sharing anything here. If it was Snapchat, different story, right? But Facebook, stay in your lane. You don't have to do it all. They have Facebook Live, a messenger app, and now stories. You can't eat up all the social media game. You can't. There's no way. You have the competition is real and it's good, and I think Snapchat is definitely going to win this race.
Well, something that you said earlier that really resonated with me is, how many platforms can you tell your story on? And I know I face that same challenge, where those that follow me on Snapchat know I'm all about the Snapchat fam, and I find myself forcing myself really on most days to go over to Instagram and think, I haven't put anything on Instagram stories today. I need to put something on there. The reality is this, though, Jenna. So again, real talk.
Real talk.
There's different audiences on each one of these platforms. I think the challenge for whether you're a personal brand or you're a small or enterprise brand is you should really look to have a presence on these channels, but create different content and really look at the metrics. And see, who am I speaking to on Instagram versus, I know Snapchat, you're a little bit more challenged because they don't give you the same amount of metrics that Facebook or Instagram do, but still, go into both platforms, create content, and ultimately, wherever you get the most engagement and reach, from my perspective, is where you should be investing your time.
Go there. I completely agree with you there. Go to where your followers are and go, and again, customize your content. That doesn't mean each channel you have to oh, I'm only going to do this, I'm only going to do this, but you can share and sprinkle content across the platforms, but you do definitely be cognizant of your audience on those platforms. You have to be aware of what they want to see and look at the metrics. I think it's cool, though, that Snapchat isn't really giving you those metrics, right? Because it's kind of private. Like, the number of people who watch my Snapchat, if it's 1 or if it's 500, I'm the one who knows unless you ask.
Absolutely.
And so there's not this concern with how many followers, my follower ratio, there's just not that, There's not that pressure that marketers especially have of, I have to get a certain number of likes, I have to get a certain number of followers just so I can look like I'm competing with my peers, when the reality that, to your point, that's what I've always loved about Snapchat, is that the metrics only mean something to me. Sure.
And no one out there really knows who watches my content on Snapchat, and it doesn't matter.
At all.
And as long as I'm happy with those numbers, I'm going to continue to create content for them.
Yeah, as you should. And that's what Snapchat is for. And that's why Snapchat will win.
So you continue to say Snapchat will win the race. I'm still holding by my prediction that I think Facebook ultimately is going to own all media. And they're going to own all social media. And I think ultimately, the race that you're seeing right now is it's Coke versus Pepsi, it's Nike versus Reebok, it's Facebook versus Snapchat, and they happen to have Instagram also a part of that race as well. What I want to know from you, Jenna, is as a younger millennial, okay, where are you and your homies truly spending most of your time on social media?
Honestly, I spend most of my time on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm an Instagram fan, and I'm an Instagram fan because I can search tags even for hairstyles if I want to, right? I can search tags for travel, anything I want to. I can easily search someone and pull up their name. Instagram is just so much, it's a better visual of who someone is, what they do. I can look at those first 9 photos and be like, okay, this person likes this, and this. We have these people in common, and I really enjoy that. Facebook for me is too many people like harping and getting on a soapbox, or people just trolling, and I hate it. Like you go down your friend's Facebook post and there's people just trolling on them, and you're like, people are actually engaging with this. I can't believe it. So Instagram, I love it.
It's too political.
It's too political.
Too political.
And too emotional as well.
Way too emotional.
People get on there and just put their emotional baggage. Instagram is just like just beautiful images.
I've always
said that.
I've always said that Instagram, from my perspective, is the hallmark card of social media.
Yeah.
Everything looks great on Instagram.
Yeah.
People are happy.
Yeah.
And to your point, and again, there's a lot of marketers that watch Real Talk. You can use up to 30 hashtags in your photos on Instagram, and the more hashtags that you use, then your content gets syndicated or indexed into these different categories. So Instagram is where you and your homies are spending a lot of time. You're hearing it from a millennial, and if you are a brand and you want to get on the radar of Jenna and her friends, you have to use Instagram to create what sort of content?
Create content that is engaging. And when I say engaging, not just for me to like, but for me to want to comment on it, for me to want to engage with the other people that are commenting and start kind of a short discussion, if you will, there. I like content that's motivating. So small quotes over photos are really good. I like really aesthetically beautiful photos. So if your platform is a platform that reposts content or photos from some of your followers, I think that's really cool, because then I want to click through the rabbit hole. Instagram is also a rabbit hole. Like you go to a friend's photo, you see, oh, who's tagged, you click on their tagged pictures, then you're scrolling. Like that, it's a rabbit hole.
Just like Wikipedia.
Yeah, sure. You just kind of keep going with it. So I really like content, again, that's aesthetically pleasing, really beautiful to look at, engaging, encouraging me to comment on their content. And lastly, I like content that is hashtagged, because that means it's targeted. That means that they want a certain audience to look at that. So I like to see what people are hashtagging and seeing, am I included in that demographic?
So I'm gonna go ahead and drop some examples here on this video while we're chatting. What are maybe 2 or 3 brands that you either follow or you recommend brand marketers out there go look at if they want to see a really good example of how brands are using Instagram?
I really enjoy looking at Bevel's content. I think
Bevel?
Bevel, have you heard of Bevel?
I have not.
Okay, so Bevel is a brand of actually shavers and razors.
Okay.
But what they do with their content, I love that it's personable. So you can see a little boy getting his hair cut by his father, right? But you can also see women cutting other women's hair, right? So you just see the diversity and the range of people using this product. And I love that it's never forcing you to buy. The comments or the captions are never like, buy, or click this link. It's just like, look at these beautiful people using this wonderful product. You might want to tap in. So definitely Bevel, my favorite.
Who's another brand?
Another brand that I am following right now that I really enjoy, I would have to say Travel Noir.
Okay.
I like Travel Noir's content because they really pay attention to aesthetic details. And they also, in that process, feature other people who have really beautiful photos.
Okay.
So I love the fact that if my photo was posted on Travel Noir, it's amplifying my voice and really increasing my reach. And so the simple fact that I got selected out of all these people that are tagging Travel Noir is just super cool to me. And I think it creates social impact, if you will. So then your friend, they have thousands of followers.
Which goes to show that as a brand, if your focus is building community,
Yeah.
and I often say, you'll hear a lot of marketers out there pontificate that content is king, and I often say community is king. And if you want to see any inspiration behind that, just go look at DJ Khaled of what he's done to build his credibility through the community that he's developed on social media.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with all this is with user-generated content, if you're building a community, then you're always going to have your customers out there and your fans and advocates creating content that you can then repurpose, so you don't have to go down this rabbit hole of what content do I post today.
Sure.
How many times do we hear other brands and marketers say, I would love to be more active on social media, but I just don't know what to post?
Yeah, we hear that so often. It's this big question mark of what to post. And I think it goes back to what we said before. Be personable, be authentic, and share your brand story. That's what these platforms are really created for. Nothing else, just to share a story. So be authentic, be engaging, post what you like, and be authentic about it. Like, this is just what I like, or this is just what's happening here today. And leave it there. People will engage in the way that they want to.
So it's interesting because we went into this episode of Real Talk talking about Facebook stories, and we've taken this turn into Instagram. We're talking a lot about Instagram here, which maybe that's a sign that Instagram, because like you, I'm spending a lot of time myself on Instagram. Also, not as much time on stories, but I've actually changed my strategy on Instagram for my personal brand, where I'm posting anywhere from 2 to 3 times a day to hit multiple time zones. And before, like we talked about, with hashtags to get my content syndicated into multiple hashtags. So let's talk about Snapchat though. Let's really spend some time talking about Snapchat. So young millennial, what do you want to see from brands specifically on Snapchat? Because I will be the first to say Snapchat was not created with a brand in mind. Snapchat was not created for marketers to go ahead and sell things to people. It was created more so for messaging. And now this turn that they've taken with stories over the last couple of years as a way for you to document your life. So once again, I'll throw the question back in your court. As a millennial, what do you want to see on Snapchat?
I honestly, on Snapchat, I enjoy seeing what my friends are doing in their day-to-day more than I do brands. I'm not on Snapchat trying. I think it's different when you have a brand on Snapchat because you actually have to go search it, whereas if I'm with my friend and they pull up their Snap code, I can just kind of scan it into my phone, right? So I think it takes a little bit more because you have to be thinking about like, oh, who do I want to see on Snapchat and go follow them and see. So I would say on Snapchat, I want to see authenticity. I want to see what's happening in your day-to-day, even if you're walking right down the street and you're showing a journey. I think Snapchat is a place where you show the steps of how you got there and build upon it. So if you have an event, I want to see the pre-event. I want to see what's happening at the event. I want people to take over the Snapchat. And then after, I want to see like what's happening post-event and give a thanks, right? That's what I would love to see when I'm on Snap. To watch your whole story and not just kind of click through it.
And to engage with your homies.
Yep.
So let me go ahead and ask you this question as a follow-up then. For brands that want to be successful on Snapchat, engaging specifically younger demographics like yourself, is the strategy the same on Snapchat as it is on Instagram?
No. It's not the same because Instagram, I think, is, again, utilizing hashtags and utilizing kind of sharing at different times. I think that's the strategy there should be more targeted. Snapchat is, I think, a bit loose because, as you said, it wasn't created for marketing and for branding. It was really created kind of as for individuals to share and capture, and it'll die in 24 hours. So I think the strategy really does have to be completely different. At the base of it all, it's storytelling, it's being authentic, but on Instagram, you can do motivational quotes and you can do photos of your business and a new product. But on Snapchat, if you're showing those things and it's not exciting, I don't want to watch your whole story.
So here's what I'm hearing from you. If you have to kind of rank and compare these social networks, Facebook is VH1. Instagram is MTV. And Snapchat is like Comedy Central meets BET meets like any other cool TV network for millennials. Right?
That was the perfect summarization.
Boom.
Boom.
And that's real talk.
That's real talk. Thank you for having me back on the episode.
Thank you so much, Jenna, for joining me. Only time will tell who wins the war for social media market share. Jenna says Snapchat. I think it's going to be Facebook with Instagram at the helm. But once again, only time will tell, and we will continue to create content on these channels like there's no tomorrow, because where else are we going to create content?
Nowhere.
Besides right here also at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco. Until next time, friends, thank you so much for watching another episode of Real Talk. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to my channel and be sure to also subscribe to the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center on YouTube. Jenna here is doing some amazing work. I gotta say, I'm not just saying that because you're sitting next to me. You're doing some amazing work with social media here for the center. So where can everyone out there that's a part of my community go ahead and follow the center and show you guys love and support?
Definitely follow the center on Twitter. That is the best place to stay up to date with our events and what's happening at the center and some of the awesome speakers like Carlos Gil that come through. Follow at the center on Twitter and also on Instagram if you want to see some of the cool photos and the Instagram stories that we're sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Jenna. Until next time, guys. Peace.